James Cleveland saved gospel music, but who saved the children in his home? In 1980, a 13-year-old boy joined Cleveland's choir because he dreamed of becoming famous. He lived with this gospel superstar, traveled with him, and trusted him with everything. But after Cleveland died, everything fell apart. The boy filed a shocking lawsuit saying he'd been abused for years. The case was settled in secret, and nobody talked about the truth. Now at 55 years old, that same person is finally speaking up about the man everyone called a saint. But he knew him as something completely different. James Cleveland was born on December 5th, 1931 in Chicago during one of the hardest times America ever faced. The country was stuck in something called the Great Depression, which meant millions of people had no jobs. In some places, 1 out of every 4 people couldn't find work. His family lived on the south side of Chicago, one of the poorest parts of the city. His dad, Benjamin, worked for a government program that tried to help people get jobs. But even that wasn't enough money. Families in their neighborhood were trying to survive on just $16 a week. While most people across the country had about $25, the Cleveland family barely had anything. Their home was small and freezing cold. Food was hard to find, and warm clothes were something they couldn't afford. What helped them keep going was their church. It gave them food, clothes, and most importantly, hope. That church wasn't just a building to them. It was everything they needed to survive. When James was only 5 years old, something amazing happened. He opened his mouth in his grandmother's church and started singing. His voice didn't sound like other kids his age. It was loud, clear, and full of feeling. He spent hours and hours trying to copy the songs of Mahalia Jackson, a famous gospel singer, using a wind-up record player that cost $50, which was the same price as 3 months of rent back. Then Dot, his grandmother, noticed his special gift and made sure he practiced every single day. She taught him the old songs that had been passed down for many, many years. That little boy with the incredible voice would one day be called the king of gospel music. And it all started right there in that small church, but life became even tougher when he turned 8 years old. In 1939, his father lost his job after the government cut more than 1.5 million jobs. All of a sudden, the family had zero money. Rent, food, clothes, everything was slipping through their fingers. James, who was just a little kid, started working to help out. He shined people's shoes on street corners, making 5 to 10 cents for each pair. A loaf of bread cost 8 cents back then. So even shining just a few shoes meant they could eat. He gave up being a normal kid to help his family stay alive. That kind of struggle made him strong inside. It taught him how to keep fighting and never, ever give up. That same fighting spirit would help him build an amazing future that nobody could have imagined. That same year, something else important happened. He joined a choir called the Thorn Gospel Crusaders. It had 50 young singers in it, and James stood out immediately. He sang a solo at a church event where over 800 people came to listen. The group traveled all around Chicago, performing in churches and big halls. James was only 8 years old, but he was already telling people how songs should be sung. He learned how to read music and arrange it, how to lead other singers and build up emotion in a song. He was learning how to control and shape sound, and it was obvious he was born to be a leader. Even though his music skills were growing, school life was really painful for him. James was super tall, nearly 6 feet by the time he was 12, and he had a deep voice. Other kids made fun of him all the time. He found comfort in his aunt's basement, where an old broken piano became his best friend. It was missing some keys, but he didn't care at all. He taught himself how to play just by listening and trying. When his family couldn't afford the $1 piano lessons, he pretended the windowsills in his house were piano keys and practiced on them for months. When they finally saved up $25 to buy a real piano, he was totally ready. He started writing songs on little scraps of paper and hid them in a shoebox. Some of those songs would later become super famous. Gospel songs like Peace Be Still and God Is. As a young boy, James started singing at Pilgrim Baptist Church, one of the most important gospel churches in all of America. The choir was led by Thomas Dorsey, the man many people called the father of gospel music. Roberto Martin played the piano there. Both of them were legends in the gospel world. Dorsey even wrote a special song just for James to sing. His grandmother was in the choir too, so James had deep connections to that church. He even worked as a paper boy and would wait outside rehearsals, hoping someone would let him play when a musician didn't show up. Pilgrim Baptist wasn't just his church. It was like his school, his stage, and his whole future. But then everything changed in a big way. During his teenage years, he damaged his voice while singing with a local group. His beautiful high soprano voice was gone forever. What was left was a deep, scratchy voice that sounded like nobody else in the world. At first, it felt like the worst thing ever, but it turned out to be his greatest gift. That rough, gravelly sound would become his signature style and change gospel music forever. When he was 17, Roberta Martin saw his new talent. She published his song called Grace is Sufficient, making it his first professional success as a songwriter. By age 19 in 1950, James joined a gospel group and made his first professional recording. The group included close friends of Roberto Martin. James brought fresh new life to old spiritual songs. In 1951, their song called Oh What a Time became the first one to feature his new rough voice. When the group broke up, Roberto Martin hired him directly to arrange and write songs. The real big breakthrough came in 1954. Even though he'd written Grace is Sufficient years before, it became a huge hit when he finally recorded it by himself. The money he earned from it was $500, which was a ton of money for him back then, equal to nearly $6,000 in today's money. That money let him quit all his regular day jobs and focus only on music full-time. In 1956, when he was 25, he started his own group called the Gospel Chimes. He made a bold move by using an electric organ in gospel music, which many church leaders thought was way too modern and wrong. But when over 1,000 people showed up for his first concert, it was super clear that gospel music had entered a brand new era. His group had both men and women singers, which was also pretty unusual at that time. This was just the beginning of what would become his massive choir movement that changed everything. 2 years later, he joined Mahalia Jackson on tour. She had once lived on the street where he delivered newspapers, but now she was a giant superstar in gospel music. James traveled with her for 18 months, learning absolutely everything he could: how to handle huge crowds, how to grab people's attention, how to build up emotion in a performance. She didn't even use microphones to sing, yet she could reach 5,000 people with just her voice alone. James soaked it all in like a sponge. But in 1959, life got tough again for him. Money was really tight, so he had to take a job as a postal worker delivering mail. During the day, he delivered mail to people's houses. At night, he recorded music. His song called The Love of God sold 10,000 copies and was played in churches all across the country. That success gave him the confidence he needed to quit his postal job and go back to music full-time. Later that same year, he moved all the way to Los Angeles. There, he joined a group called the Pilgrim Travelers and got a job as minister of music at Grace Memorial Church. He started trying out new ways to get the whole audience involved through something called call and response singing. He was starting to build something really big, something nobody else had ever tried before. By 1963, when he was 32 years old, he started the Southern California Community Choir. He mixed jazz rhythms with traditional gospel hymns. People absolutely loved it. His rough, scratchy voice, mixed with beautiful, smooth harmonies, gave gospel music a completely new sound. His choir quickly became super powerful and popular in Los Angeles. In 1967, he had an even bigger idea in his mind. He invited gospel musicians from all over the entire country to meet up in Detroit. The first official gospel music workshop of America happened in 1968 and brought together about 3,000 people. It wasn't just a regular meeting, it was the start of a whole movement. They studied music together, learned new skills and techniques, and shared their passion for gospel. That workshop became the largest gospel music group in the entire world. By the end of 1968, Cleveland was building chapters of the workshop all across the country. He taught singers how to arrange songs, how to perform on stage, and how to be leaders. His teaching methods created a whole new generation of gospel stars. By 1969, thousands of singers were using his style of music, and the GMWA was growing super fast. But his biggest musical moment had already happened back in 1963. That's when he recorded Peace Be Still Live in New Jersey. The song was based on an old hymn from 1874. But Cleveland turned it into something completely brand new and different. Billy Preston played the organ for it. The angelic choir sang backup. That record sold nearly 1 million copies and became a gospel classic that everyone knew. It was later added to the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999 because it was so important. In 1970, he went even further with his vision. He started directing choirs with 2,000 or 3,000.